For decades, the truth about JFK's assassination has been hidden from us. Those who really know what happened are all almost dead, and what's left is locked up in Langley. The Warren Commission said Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. There was no second shooter, no grassy knoll, no cover-up. End of story. But something amazing happened on Capitol Hill yesterday when, after poring over thousands of unredacted files, JFK scholars testified that Oswald didn't kill Kennedy. One of those scholars, Jefferson Morley, said this last night.
You have dozens of people who said that they saw a blowout wound in the back of Kennedy's head caused by a gunshot from the front. So that shot could not have been fired by Lee Harvey Oswald. So no, I don't believe Oswald was responsible for Kennedy's death. The evidence doesn't support that claim. He could not have fired a shot from the front.
If this is true, then our government's been lying about who killed Kennedy for 60 years. Why would they lie? I think we know why. Director Oliver Stone told Congress that secrecy is the enemy of the truth, then called on him to reopen the investigation and interrogate the CIA. 9 months ago, Trump was almost killed, and our government is covering that up too. We know absolutely nothing about Thomas Crooks and the circumstances surrounding the assassination attempt, and the government's incompetence is extremely fishy. Trump was almost killed a second time by a man who'd been to Ukraine and who our intelligence agencies were aware of. And that's become another black hole. Director Oliver Stone testified at the JFK assassination hearing this week. Here's what he said.
And let us praise the representatives, Democrat and Republican, who believe with the vast majority of the American people that the truth is the greatest treasure a Socratic soul can attain in this lifetime. This is our democracy. This is our presidency. It belongs to us. Treat us with respect.
Co-authors of JFK Revisited Through the Looking Glass, Jim DiEugenio and director Oliver Stone. All right, Oliver, how close are we getting to the truth of what happened in Dallas that day?
Jesse, I don't know. You've been very good on this. You have a memory and you've followed up. I was sitting in Congress in 1992 to testify for the JFK Records Act, which was the result of my film, JFK, in 91. But it was a good act. They tried, the ARB, they tried to get as much information. They didn't get any cooperation, as you know, from the CIA at all, practically nothing. And so many of the other people, they didn't come forward with the documents. They didn't do what they were going to say they'd do. The spirit of that law was the only exception would be national security, and it had to be serious national security. Well, this is a question of national security, and it just keeps getting delayed and kicked around, the kick the can down the road kind of thing, and it's frustrating. So Mr. Trump has started at least a new energy, and he's given us, say, look, I want all the files out, no exceptions now, nothing. And that was the original law. They didn't abide by it. Jim, this is my researcher here.
The law actually said in 2017, in October, everything should be declassified. There should be no exceptions at all. And the only person who can stop that was the president. Well, on that day, he was visited by some intel higher-ups, and instead of declassifying everything like he said he wanted to do, he ended up delaying it, all right? And he even delayed it into the Biden administration. And the Biden administration, if anything, was even worse, on this particular issue. So what happened, I'm sure you're aware of this, Jesse, is that people like Andy Napolitano and Mr. Rogan reminded candidate Trump of what he should have done in his first administration. And therefore, I think that's the impetus behind this executive order, all right? And in addition to that, we have Congresswoman Luna, who is going to take a legislative attack on this subject. And I really hope between both of these angles, we finally will get every last piece of paper, okay, on this case that's haunted America for the last 6 decades.
And you'd think the president, after having a bullet ripped through his ear, and almost a pot shot hit him on his own golf course in West Palm Beach, that he would just want to just make everything transparent. Right, Oliver? If there was one president to do it, it would be this president.
That's for sure. That's for sure. And I am appalled by the lack of follow-up on that, too. I'd like to know more about who Thomas Crooks was, his family, this whole situation. They incinerated the body, cremated the body right away. That's very strange. And the other fellow, he's got a colorful history, but he's certainly the type who would do this, who would shoot. As part of a plan, probably.
We had the same suspicion, too, just because multiple federal agencies had crossed paths with him as he was in and out of Ukraine through customs and everything. And it just doesn't add up. Jim, what new evidence have you seen from these recent files declassified that just made you say, wow?
Well, you're probably aware of this, Jesse. I thought the Schlesinger memo was very interesting in the fact that the two most important pages of the whole memo were blacked out. All right. And this was, of course, Schlesinger's revelations that the CIA had an inordinate influence over the State Department. In fact, something like 47%, of these supposed State Department guys were really CIA undercover people. And the point, for example, is that during the attempted overthrow of de Gaulle, Kennedy was at loose ends because he says, look, I'm not encouraging this thing, but you got to understand, I don't know what these CIA guys are doing.
He had no control.
And in our documentary, JFK Revisited, we talked about this point, how Allen Dulles and certain CIA officers were actually encouraging the overthrow of de Gaulle. And this, of course, leads to the firing of Allen Dulles, Dick Bissell, and Charles Cabell. I believe that's the first and only time in history that any president has decapitated the whole top level of the CIA.
Yeah, and then he was decapitated by a bullet. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.